Hey everybody, Matt Johnson here from Marathon of History, and for the next installment in this little series of, I don't even know what you call it, I guess painting or finishing our Heritage Toy Series line models with inexpensive items. So as you can see behind me here, I have this, craft store brand paint. I think this whole thing of 36 colors, I think cost less than $24. I bought it last year, but this is what we're going to use. And I've got a nice selection of brushes here. Again, you can buy those at a craft store. You could, for our purposes in these videos, you could buy them probably at a dollar store. The brushes I use, I purchased locally at a really nice art store here in Durham called the Color Jar. And if you happen to be in the West Grey, Durham area and you'd like some supplies for doing some of these models from these videos, stop into the Color Jar, and Tim and family in there would be happy to help you out with some brushes. But today we are going to tackle our Tiger 1, our 1/48 scale Tiger 1. And anybody who, is a fan of Second World War armor, I guess we'd say, a lot of people really enjoy German vehicles. And I think a lot of that is because, for the most part, or in a lot of cases, I should say, they weren't just gray, they weren't just tan, they weren't just green. The Germans really seemed to be a little bit ahead of their time during the Second World War as far as camouflage on vehicles goes. So I think that's a big reason why people like to model German vehicles. It's not, it's not that model builders love the German forces or anything, in World War II, but they love the vehicles, and and the vehicles were pretty cool. So we're gonna have a look today at our Tiger 1, and I'm simply going to apply to the Tiger 1 sort of a tan undercoat, tannish brown undercoat. Then we're going to go with a brown and green camouflage on top of it, and sort of a summery fall type camouflage. And I have to put a disclaimer on right here for all my videos. I mean, this is just like painting these things off the top of my head, just kind of trying to come up with some neat paint jobs and neat ideas. So I'm not modeling this Tiger 1 after a specific vehicle from a specific time from a specific front. This is just a generalized paint scheme that I've seen sort of in magazines and books, as well as the colors we're going to use in these videos. As you've seen before, we're using dollar store, craft store paint here, so we're going to be mixing and matching to try and create some pretty reasonably authentic Second World War colors for these things. Again, this is all about painting on a budget, and I would highly suggest if you're a model builder who is striving for an extreme degree of accuracy, you probably want to invest in something like the Vallejo German. Actually, I have it right here. This is the Vallejo German colors set for 1940, 1945. Okay, I know Vallejo has a couple different sets of German-specific armored fighting vehicle paint sets. So just my thought is, if you're really striving for exact accuracy with your paint colors, check out that Vallejo set. But other than that, these videos I'm doing are all about cost. They're all about painting our affordable vehicles with affordable paints and affordable brushes, and coming up with a product that you can put on your shelf and say, hey, that's pretty cool. I made that for $25. And it's perfect for kids, perfect for anybody who wants a little challenge. It's a kind of a rainy sort of day out here today, so it's a perfect day to be working on painting a model. So we're going to go ahead and get started here, and you can follow along. You can follow along at home, wherever you're watching, or just watch the video for the fun of it, or whatever. But I thank you for watching, and we'll get started on our German Tiger 1.
All right, so on our 1/48 scale Tiger, I have taken and combined these three colors of paint to give us a nice base coat for this German Tiger tank. And it's kind of sort of that German yellowy, I forget the exact name of the color, but it's sort of that yellowy base color you see on a lot of the camouflage. So I'm okay with this one. I think if I was to do this again, then maybe a suggestion to anybody watching is yellow it up a little bit. It's a little bit maybe too khaki, but if you were to put maybe a drop of yellow in, it might be a little closer to the actual color, but I'm just gonna work with what I have here. So that's orange, espresso, and tan to create our base color.
All right, so we have our tan base coat on the German tank, and as I said, I might alter the color in the future if I was to do it, but not the name of the game here. We're here to have a bit of fun and paint something, so I'm not even going to worry about it. Now, what you can do is, for the camouflage scheme I'm doing, brown's going to be the next color, sort of a reddy brown. For the purposes right now, I'm going to apply straight brown from that paint set back there, and as you can see on the model up here behind me, I've already started. And I started applying the brown when the tan base coat was still a little bit wet. And actually it kind of went on sort of interesting with the wet paint over wet paint, but it's something, it doesn't matter. You can wait for it to dry, or you can do it right away if you're impatient like me. So as you can see, we sort of put the brown on. Again, I'm not following any specific, pictures or anything like that. I'm just sort of going off memory how the German paint schemes seem to be sort of, blotchy, then kind of a thin line, then a blotchy, then just sort of irregular. So that's sort of what I did here with the brown on this tank. So you're going to apply the brown sort of in a blotchy pattern. Remember the wheels. Wheels you probably don't want to match directly into the body paint, because don't forget these things turn. So their camouflage will be all over the place. I've seen German tanks without camouflage on the wheels. And if you want to grab a photo, I mean, obviously just Google image German summer camouflage tank World War II, and you'll have some ideas if you want to actually follow along to create a real camouflage scheme. I'm not, because this is my model, so I'm gonna do what I want. But you can sort of follow along to something if you want, and sort of follow the same techniques we're using here in the video. So now that we've got the brown on, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let that dry up a bit, and then we're going to put a second coat of brown on, just to give it a really sort of a deep coloring. And as you see, I've done that on the other side here, and you can see we're starting to get some nice defined brown color. So go ahead and do your brown, let it dry, put another coat on, and then we'll come back and have a look at green.
All right, so as you can see, we're sort of getting through this second coat of brown here. I'm just doing a bit on the wheels, and then we will move on. But again, don't worry too much about the wheel area. We are going to be doing a little bit of weathering there that will, sort of, just don't put a lot of effort in there, because it might sort of be covered up with future steps. But I remember, as a kid building models, I used to read all the model magazines, and they were good. They were good magazines, and good for, you can't beat the product that was in them, and they were good for ideas. But I always remember thinking, like, is it okay just to build a model straight from the box and, not have to bash the whole thing apart and scratch build your own track links because the ones in the kit were 1/4 of a millimeter out of scale, or buy a full interior for my Tamiya M4 Sherman? Like, is it okay just to build it out of the box the way it is? And I sort of took that attitude moving forward. I never enjoyed those articles where all they do is pick apart models, and that's why, to be honest, when I say I just like to have some fun with this, I do just like to have some fun with this. Life's pretty serious, and one thing I will not be serious and stressed about is having a bit of fun painting a model. So definitely people have asked me sort of like, don't you want to get it super accurate? And sure I do. Sure I want to get it reasonably accurate, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's a model. It's meant to be fun. But I like how this is looking so far. So now we're going to look at our green.
Okay, so as I said, we are going to look at our green now for a little bit of sort of an up-close-ish view. There's the general brown paint on this tiger. So now we're going to take the green and sort of apply it in a similar type way. But we're going to kind of keep the green tight to the brown. It sort of seems that the brown and the green on these things was sort of always sort of tight together. And then the tannish or base coat or whatever color it was always sort of in between. So I'm gonna start by basically following a similar pattern with the green to the brown we already have here, and then I'm basically just gonna see how it looks, and if I like it, I'm gonna leave it. If I think it needs a bit of touch up, then we'll do that. It's paint, and I have like so much paint here. We can do whatever we want. So let's put some green on this and see how it looks.
All right, and I should note, for the green on this tank, we're gonna go with this olive green straight out of the bottle, so we'll see how that looks. As I finish up the green here, you can see what I've done. I've just sort of put the green sort of in a similar pattern to the brown, made it pretty blotchy, blotch,
Now, one thing you have to be careful of with the craft store paint, as I've mentioned before, is you're probably gonna have to put a second coat on the green because again, it's just gonna struggle to cover some of the brown here. So I'm just gonna let this dry for a few minutes and put a second coat of the green on. I'm gonna be totally honest, I don't love how this looks right now, so but we're kind of committed to it. So I'm gonna see what I can do here to make it more to my liking. But you know what? Again, this is why I love our Heritage Toy Series models, because you know, even if I hate this, I've only invested about $20. So, you know, it's not a $300 model kit that I basically just threw away. So, but I don't hate it that much. I'm gonna see if I can do a bit of work to this to get it back to where I want. So we're gonna just put a second coat of green in here, and then we'll check back in. Just kind of finishing up this second coat of green here. Some of the green actually, some spots where it's covering the brown, I could almost use 3 coats of green, but I sort of come to the conclusion that because I don't love it, I'm going to do some things to fix it up here that I'm not going to bother with the third coat because it's probably going to be covered anyways. So as you can see here, we've got the brown, got the green, sort of working its way in. Anybody who's really into World War II armor is probably freaking out right now because this doesn't really look like, you know, maybe a camouflage scheme that they've seen, but we're getting there. And, you know, it's just something that's going to develop here. So I hope. If not, we'll just reprime it and do it again. It's fine. It's coming together. But I want to do something to it to just make it look a little better. And so what I'm going to do, and one of our best things available to us as with a painting with a brush, is a wash. And if you had an airbrush, or if you're using an airbrush, you could probably really start to blend all this camouflage in, blend the body color in, paint it to scale a bit, but we're not using an airbrush. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a wash. And what a wash is a heavy water, light paint concentration. So I'm going to go ahead here and mix up in my paint tray a wash, and we're not going to go with black. Just looking at the model, I think I'm going to start with a brown wash, and then that might actually help sort of blend the body color and the camouflage color together a little bit. And we'll probably take 2 or 3 coats of that, but we'll see how it looks, and we'll just keep trying. We'll keep adapting, go from there. Okay, so let's throw a brown wash on this thing and see how we're looking. So the thing with the wash is, again, like I said, it's going to be very water heavy, paint light. So what I've actually done here is, it's kind of hard to see, but I've actually poured a whole bunch of water into the corner of my paint palette here. And you're going to use a fairly wide brush. This one's from the dollar store. And I'm basically soaking the brush and then mixing in just a little bit of this brown into this puddle of water, if you will. You can kind of see it mixing in there. That's a wash. So when we take that, again, you want to use a nice wide brush, take some of this wash, and then we're just going to start layering it onto our vehicle. And it's actually kind of interesting because some of this camouflage is still wet. It's almost feathering some of this in, actually. It looks kind of neat. So go ahead, do that brown wash onto the vehicle and sort of do this to your own taste. You might need a few coats here. Nice thing about wash, that doesn't take too long to dry. And when you put paint in your palette like this with sort of a puddle with your color here, I don't know, maybe it's not proper, I don't care. But I do find it easy to sort of adjust the concentration of color. If it's too color pigment heavy and it's leaving blotches on the model, I can go with more water. Or if I'm not leaving enough of the wash color, I can simply go with a little bit more paint. So I'm gonna keep putting this wash on, and then we'll check back in. You can kind of see the effect of the wash here, and actually you can still see it's still shiny from the wash I did. So it's really blended all that camouflage in. It's really given the body a bit of depth to it. And I generally think we're trending in the right direction now as far as how this thing looks. And I think just apply washes to whatever you're comfortable with or whatever you'd like. And don't forget areas like, you know, up underneath here, up underneath the barrel. Sometimes they're sort of easy to forget those areas along the wheels here. And of course up at the back here where I haven't quite done yet. But so don't forget all that. Keep applying your brown wash, and then we'll start thinking about the next steps here. All right, so that's about all the wash I'm going to put on this thing. Like I said, I'm trending in the right direction of being happy with how this is looking, and gonna let it dry up here. And if you saw some of my last videos, I'm real tempted to use a heat gun to dry this thing up, but that didn't work out so well. So I'm just gonna let this sort of dry naturally here for a while, and then we'll come back to it. So while our wash dries here on the Tiger, we're gonna start thinking about the road wheels. And the thing with the Tiger is when they first started making the Tiger, the road wheels were, of course, steel, but they had a rubber tire around the outside of them. And of course, that'd be like a blackish color. And then as the war went on, it was found that the rubber just didn't really work. It would shred off, or just wasn't really suitable for the Tiger tank. So eventually what happened is when they made all steel road wheels, and there was rubber inside between them, but you can't see that right here. So they went with steel road wheels, and we're going to go with the rubber road wheels on our tank. We're going to say it's an early tank, an early Tiger. And so what I'm going to do once this all dries up, we're going to paint just sort of this outside diameter black. We're going to use a fairly thinned black paint. And again, don't worry too much about making it perfect, because we're going to do a bit of weathering to this whole track suspension area. That's going to really make it not matter if it's accurate or if it's perfect or not. So once your Tiger dries up, you can go ahead and paint the rubber on these road wheels. So I got a base coat on my road wheels. I've touched up the tracks, letting the brown wash dry on this thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to go with one of my favorite things, and that's a black wash. So we're going to go with, again, heavy water, light paint, and we're going to sort of put a black wash around these things and these grills and these, you know, these hull and turret details. As well as in around the wheels here, we're going to put a black wash, and that's just sort of anywhere that's a low on the tank, or anywhere that's sort of like an inlet or whatever. You know, put your black wash, just let it sort of soak in. It'll definitely give it a bit of depth, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so we've applied the black wash to this thing, and as you can see, it's still pretty wet. If you look down here, the road wheels and the tracks, got the black wash there, getting ready for a bit more weathering. And here's the most political thing I'm ever going to say in my work. With the black wash and the brown wash, don't be conservative. Apply them liberally. There you go. Politics. That'll help my algorithm. But all joking aside, you can see I've applied a heavier black wash to the back, around some of the mechanical stuff at the back, around the grates, up along the fenders here. You can sort of apply black wash. Just careful it doesn't start drying up like that did there, and then around the front, around the end of the barrel, blah blah blah. Just sort of a black wash everywhere, and we're just going to really let that dry up, because the next step's going to be a bit of weathering on the tracks and a bit of dry brushing. So we need a perfectly dry vehicle for that. So I'm going to set this aside for a few hours. Our Tiger has dried up pretty nicely, actually. I'm kind of liking the how it's looking. The brown wash and the black wash sort of played to dull it all down, and I've actually sort of started the process of weathering it here. So what I'm going to do now is what we've talked about before, something called dry brushing. Get a bit of paint on your brush, basically take all the paint off your brush, whether it's on a paper towel or a piece of wood or whatever is nearby, and then you're going to simply, with the brush with most of the paint off, just brush it along the edges. Going to pick out some detail that might be a little bit too much right there, but that's fine. You can always go back and sort of just you know, take some of that off, or reapply some black wash or something, just to get rid of any that you didn't want there. So we're going to sort of highlight all the areas in this tank with a dry brush, and then we're going to finish up with maybe a little bit of weathering and a few little extras maybe. All right, as I finish up this fairly heavy dry brush here, you can see that our Tiger tank has really sort of taken form, and I don't know, I'm pretty happy with how it looks now. It's, like I say, it's not really any particular camouflage scheme, any particular vehicle. It's just a little bit of personalization here on our 1/48 scale Tiger 1 from Marathon of History, and some little extras you can do now if you want is you can add some mud and whatnot to the tracks. You know, weather those to whatever degree you want. You could add some camouflage netting to it. You could add some foliage of sorts if you have any kicking around, whether, you know, some model train scenery or even some dried plants or something from in your house. And there's lots of different options for doing that. But I think I might just leave mine right here. I think it looks pretty good. And like I say, for a $20 model and some paint, I forget how much that cost me, but it wasn't very much. It was pretty much a fun couple hours worth of painting there. So if you want to check out the Tiger one for yourself, that's at the MARATHONOFHISTORY.CA web store, and it's on there, price including shipping, and you can choose from 3 colors, either the tan, there's 2 colors of tan, and there's one Panzer Gray, or if you want to just put in the comments if you want a custom color, I can do anything. So whatever you want, we can do. And I just want to thank everybody for watching the video, and look for the next one. We'll select what vehicle we're going to do, and we'll have another video hopefully before too long. So thanks a lot, I appreciate it, and happy modeling.